I'm on the live. Yo, what up? What up? B Marsh Boxing, and I'm back at it with another boxing video. What's going on with y'all, man? PBC signs the man Canoli. Canoli signs a 3-fight deal with PBC. So he might be fighting on PBC on Showtime pay-per-views or PBC on Fox pay-per-views. I personally would have him fighting on probably all three or both. But sometimes, like how sometimes Errol Spence fought on PBC on Fox pay per view, I do the same. Promote him, especially September. You know what I mean? Look, if he's going to be fighting, he will be fighting Jamel Charlo. I believe September 16th, 2023. All right? Mexican Independence Day weekend. NFL starts in sometime maybe in August as far as preseason on Fox, and then September the regular season starts. That's a perfect platform to promote a cannoli fight, you know what I mean, versus Jamel Charlo. Get more eyes on the sport on his pay-per-view. Now, I'm not sure if David Benavidez will be fighting Cannoli next if Cannoli does so happen to get through Jamel Charlo. Hold up, y'all, one sec. I'm watching NBA draft. They got a trade happening. Uh-oh. Dallas Mavericks are trading. Okay, it's all right. Anyway, so with Cannoli, if he does so happen to get past Jamal Charlo, excuse me, will he fight David Benavidez next? You know what I mean? Is David Benavidez going to sit on his hands now that the man Cannoli is now with the PBC? Will he fight David Morrell in between or next before he even gets a Cannoli fight with Cannoli over there on PBC? Look, I think it's only right that look, the man is the mandatory for the WBC 168-pound strap. He's holding himself a WBC interim strap at 168. Would I like to see David Morrell versus David Benavidez? Absolutely. And uh, oh, this kid right here, he from Montgomery County, Maryland. Jordan Hawkins. Excuse me, I'm watching the NBA draft. Same time I'm doing this live stream. Where's this kid going? Or to the Pelicans? Kid out of Montgomery County, Maryland. Anyways, um, kid played for UConn too. I was happy for him because I like UConn. Man won himself a national championship. But anyways, let me get back to the star up. Now, David Benavidez versus David Morrell is a big fight. David Morrell been talking cash money shit, talking crazy about David Benavidez and his pops. He been talking crazy about his pops. So it's only right on some man time, right? Let them two get it in, like like next, right? And the winner gets Cannoli. No excuses. There's nobody else to offer up on the PBC side for Cannoli besides David Morrell and David Benavidez. You know what I mean? That's a big fight. You know what I mean? That's a Cuba versus Mexico rivalry. You know what I mean? That's a big rivalry. You know what I mean? Canoli gonna get his little gimme fight versus Jamal Charlo. I believe he'll beat him. You know, Jamal Charlo's been very inactive. 2 years out the ring, pulled out of a fight. I believe he was supposed to be fighting Suleski. He pulled out of that fight with an injury. Then later on, he had some personal problems that he admitted to. This is not me observing from the outside looking in. That's what he said out of his mouth. It's one of the reasons why he's been out the ring for a long time. Now, some will say Canoli's cherry picking. Look, I'm not going to go there, but I do believe he'll beat him, right? I'm not going to go there, even though the man, Jamal Charlo, is going to have to come up and weigh to 168 pounds. Well, look, you've been out the ring forever. You're not even in the rankings, really, like even in the Ring Magazine rankings. Yes, I know Ring Magazines is pretty biased, right? But usually they would have a man who holds himself a sanctioning strap in the top 10 of the Ring Magazine rankings, and Jamal Charlo is not in the top 10. Guys like Johnny Becker, Sabril Matias. Is it, yeah, not Sabril Matias. What's the guy's name? He's fighting this weekend too. And the big puncher. Damn, I'm forgetting his name right now. Adamas. All these guys. But Jamal Charlo is not, and that's due to the inactivity, right? And look, this is a fight he's been wanting and wanted from a long time since he was campaigning at 154 with the strap. The Charlos brothers been wanted to smoke with Canoli. So here it is. Here's his opportunity. Take it or leave it. You know what I mean? Yes, we know he ain't been in the ring for 2 years. Yes, we know he's been inactive, personal problems out the ring, and also he has never looked really great at 160 pounds since he moved up. Besides the fight versus uh, uh, uh what's his name? What's this guy's name? The guy who fought Munguia a couple weekends ago, the Ukrainian Derevchenko. Okay, and because he beat Derevchenko easier than guys like Triple G did, and even Mungia did, and even Danny Jacobs. All these guys struggle with Derevchenko, except Jamal Charlo. But Jamal Derevchenko is a good fighter, but he's not never been a world champion, and that's no knock on him. That's just the truth about it. So, with that being said, he hasn't looked good at 160, in my opinion, in if if most of, if not all of his fights, right? And now he's going to move up to 168 pounds. And like I said, he been wanted this fight. The opportunity is available. Are you prepared? Whether you're prepared or not, look, I believe he deserves to take the fight. Does he deserve the fight? Look, Canoli, you know how it goes, man. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say he cherry picking, but this guy, the what's the guy's name? James Kirkland written all over it. James Kirkland's similar situation, have been out the ring for over 2 years, but came off a nice victory back when versus Glenn Tapia. He damn near killed Glenn Tapia, and that's how he got himself the Canoli fight, and Canoli damn near killed him. I mean, now, with that being said, Jamal Charlo, been wanted to fight. Here's the opportunity. Take it or leave it. He got to take it. And he has to be fully prepared if he wants to be that dude like Bivol is. Y'all know Bivol's that dude, right? Right. To the point Canoli don't even want no smoke with him in a rematch. Yeah, I mean, and don't tell me it's because of anything financial. Canoli got all the money in the world. He's just not trying to budge in negotiations. He wants to fight on the same terms as the very first fight with Bivol, the fight where Bivol beat him on my card 9 rounds to 3. Why should it be on the same terms when the man whooped your ass easily and soundly? Yeah, I mean, give him a thorough hiding. You know what I mean? Now, Canoli has fought good fighters. As far as names on paper. But this boxing game, we all know it's about when you fought somebody. And those things are factors we have to consider. You know what I mean? He got a little layup versus John Ryder in his home country. Okay, that's well and fine. He gave the people what they want. I believe he even took a pay cut, if I'm not mistaken. If I recall what I read back when that fight happened. But Jamal Charlo to me is also a layup. You know what I mean? Jamal Charlo could shock the world if he beats him. You know what I mean? But I'm not too convinced in him. I haven't been impressed with him since 154 pounds, when it was without a shadow of a doubt who was the better Charlo twin when they both campaigned in the same weight class and even held straps simultaneously at 154. But when the bigger Charlo went up to 160, it just ain't been hitting the same. You know what I mean? What's up, boxing learner? What's going on, big man? He says, Carlos Adames, absolutely. Carlos Adames, he's fighting this weekend. Not the ideal situation. Very strange and calculated move by Canoli. Yeah, I like the fact that he's going to PBC if he can fight David Morrell or David Benavidez. You know, and I'm not too sure who they would offer up for a third fight. You know what I mean? I'm really struggling to think of, some good caliber fighters at 168 or even maybe 175 at 100 at on the PBC side, and I'm struggling to think of any. So with that being said, don't be surprised if Canoli maybe even brings somebody up to 168 from middleweight. You know what I mean? But 3 fight deal. You know, Canoli's fought in his last 10 fights. His last 10 fights after he's been on HBO. Last 10 fights. None of his last 10 fights have been on the zone. The only time he ventured out of the zone was when he fought Caleb Plant on PBC, and that was Canoli's biggest payday of his life. Okay, Samson Lekowitz and Samson Promotions have been put it out there that they've offered Canoli the biggest payday of his career if he fights David Benavidez. And there was a whole lot of stuff going on there as far as Canoli's team and Reynoso and them, Eddie Reynoso ignoring Samson and them, and even you could see Samson put out a screenshot of what's his name, Eddie Reynoso blocking Samson Lekowitz on Twitter. You know what I mean? You check it. So, that was like a week ago, maybe 5 days ago. So, when you're seeing stuff like that happen, the obvious conclusion you might come up to it, damn, this man Canoli's ducking this man, David Benavidez, that hard to the point they blocking the promoter, Lekowitz. But here we are on June 22nd, 2023, a day after my birthday, and we get the news that Canoli's about to sign a 3 fight deal. And let me let y'all know the source of this. This is through Michael Benson on Twitter and Michael Coppinger. You know what I mean? Now, Michael Coppinger's a guy sometimes he jumps the gun, wants to put out the breaking news, and wants to be the first to put shit out there. But I believe this is concrete because Canoli's not looked good in his last fight versus John Ryder. I believe he's slipping. He ain't look good versus Bivol, right? 3 big fights. Imagine 3 big fights, probably 50 million plus. That's over 150 million. He's trying to find himself maybe a retirement package, at least for 3 fights. Depend on how he looks. You never know. He might prolong his career. You know what I mean? But this is something looks like a retirement package. And also, if he gives the fans what they want, no rehydration clauses and no catch weights, right? Just fighting fellas on the clean playing field, you know what I mean? Not trying to seek advantages, no clenbuterol in your systems, no PEDs. If he gives us the fans the fights what he want, the fights we want, on his last 3 fights out the gate, if before he retires, and that's if he retires, right? Then you can't be mad at that. You know what I mean? This is a fight game. You gotta get the most money you can in the least amount of time in boxing. You know what I mean? So if he does so happen to do that, get his 150 to 200 million in 3 fights on his way out, props to him. As long as he gives us the fight fans the big fights and the fights we want to see him in. You know what I mean? We want to see if he can handle fellas like David Benavidez and David Morrell. And I'm really still struggling to find a third guy who is possibly could be on. And all this is assuming Canoli does even fight David Benavidez or David Morrell. You never know, He might come there and want to fight guys, might give guys like Adamas a shot at 168. You never know, you know what I mean? Boxer Learner says if Charlo beat him, it would be crazy, man. Absolutely, man. That would propel Jamal Charlo onto, big time status in the boxing game, especially with a big Hall of Fame on the resume. Now Canoli is, look, he's lost to Bivol. He's not invincible. Nobody is, but he's definitely not. And that's why he picks and chooses which type of fights and fighters in which styles he prefers to fight. I mean, to be honest, a lot of fighters do, especially when they're on top of their game, on top of the game as far as the cash cow in boxing. You know what I mean? But if Charlo could beat him, that would be at least a Hall of Fame on his resume. And his resume is pretty thin. At 154 it was good. 160 is pretty thin. So if he could beat Charlo and I'm sorry, Canoli, maybe beat some other guys. Go back to 160 and unify straps, become undisputed. Do something great. And boxing, boxing more than any other sport in the world, you have an opportunity to become great. You know what I mean? Now sometimes you might show too much greatness, and maybe you're not a big draw, and that could be held against you, where people won't fight you. Like let's say guys like Mark Too Sharp Johnson. You know what I mean? A lot of great Hall of Famers avoided him, but he still made the Hall of Fame because he was a great talent, great skill set, and all that. You know what I mean? Man like Adonis Stevenson, was a guy who I could really name probably 4 to 5 Hall of Famers that ducked him. Now imagine if Adonis Stevenson got all these fights and won. Let's get into it. Let's say Carl Froch, Mikhail Kessler. And I don't think Kessler's a Hall of Famer. I might be mistaken, but I don't think he is. Andre Ward, Kovalev, and Bernard Hopkins. I named 5 guys there, right? And let's say he wins 3 out of 5, maybe 4 out of 5. Maybe he wins all 5 out of 5. I mean, he would be definitely in the Hall of Fame. And that's what I'm talking about. Boxing is the only sport that I know, possibly maybe golf, but I don't know shit about golf Hall of Fame, right? Or tennis Hall of Fame, okay? But I know about NBA Hall of Fame and NFL, right? Now, in boxing, you could carve out your own lane as far as, look, let's say you're a guy who people sleeping on. And they all think you're great. You go in there and you fight a great fighter. Boom, you beat him. Boom. People still don't believe in you. You fight another guy. Let's say like how Danny Garcia was moving at 140, when he fought guys like Zab Judah, Matisse, Amir Khan. All these fights, he's underdogs, and he's beating these guys. Boom, you carve yourself a great legacy by beating guys. And before you know it, you'll find yourself in the Hall of Fame. I believe, let's say, a guy like Tim Bradley, that's how he made the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? So Jamal Charlo has still a great opportunity to make the Hall of Fame. And it starts one fight at a time. And it starts with Canoli. I'm favoring Canoli to win the fight. I believe he will. But if he can beat him, boom, you got Canoli under your resume. Awesome. Boom. You go fight, what's his name? You go unify down at a 160. You know what I mean? You fight guys like, Johnny Beck. 160 is pretty thin these days. I believe even Lara and Danny Garcia. that shit blew. That shit. I couldn't believe and I found out like a week or two later. I was talking to my man Chris Cabana. I was like, what the fuck? Lara and Danny Garcia are fighting for the WBA middleweight strap, but at a catch weight of 155. Anyways, boom, that's WBA. Charlo has WBC. Who holds the IBF at 160? I'm not even too sure. Maybe my man. Oh, big up Hop, Boxer Learner, man. He said happy belated birthday. Thanks, my G. Hey, Boxer Learner, man, if you're still in the chat, who's the IBF middleweight champion? I'm struggling to think who it is. Actually, I believe it's probably vacant because last I remembered, I believe I covered it. Triple G vacated his WBF I'm sorry, IBF middleweight strap, and the mandatory was a Brazilian guy, I believe a gold medalist, a guy named Falcao, who's like I don't know, like 30-0 with damn near 30 knockouts. If I'm not, yes, there you go, Barcelona. It's vacated. It's vacated, right? But look, if the man Charlo could go down back and it beats Canoli, and then go back down and unifies all them straps to become undisputed, now you're carving a lane for a Hall of Fame legacy. You know what I mean? Just like the man Dimitri Bivol, he's in very great position to become a Hall of Famer. If he can get another Canoli fight, boom, he gets Canoli again at 168, takes all his straps, wonderful, boom, undisputed at 168, and then he goes back to 175 and he fights Beterbiev for all the straps, undisputed at light heavyweight, 175, becomes undisputed. Now what are we talking about, man? These are guys who are chasing greatness. And everybody has an opportunity to do that in boxing if they really want to, if their promoters believe and managers believe in them, and also the opposition as far as the person they're negotiating with. If they want to cooperate, comply, and let's come together, do business, and give the fight fans what they want. That's how fights get made, and that's how great fighters carve out their own legacy. You know what I mean? So Canoli, 3 fight deal with PBC. I like it. I'm not mad at it one bit. Uh for 2023, it's not a mystery. I believe PBC been putting on the best fights. You know what I mean? They giving us Crawford and Spence. You know, they gave us, and that wasn't a great fight to me. But as far as a big fight, as far as the fight sold 1 million. Who's done 1 million since Floyd and Pacquiao? Maybe Canoli and Triple G, maybe one of their 3 fights did 1 million. I know Canoli and Cotto did like 900K, you know. So Tank Davis and them, they did a million. And ain't too many fighters giving you 1 million. Since Floyd and Pacquiao, or maybe, I'm not even going to count Floyd and McGregor because that holds the record of 6 million pay-per-view buys. But we ain't going to count that because it's not, he was, that's like an exhibition. Even though they counted it as Floyd's 50th fight, and McGregor was for his first professional fight. Boxing's so corrupt. uh, what you call it? Tank and them did a million, right? And I forgot my train of thought. Oh, I was talking about PBC. As far as giving us the big best fights, you know what I mean? And they moving the needle. You know what I'm saying? They gave us Dave Benavidez and Plant. That's a fight. I wish we saw it when they were both unified for unification when they both held world titles. And that's when PBC was lunching a little bit, prolonging fights. Why? I don't know. You got 2 champions. Make them unify. Make one man have 2 straps. There's less people to call out and less people to have to fight when you have 2 straps. Basically the viewing public will have an idea of whom they want this man who has 2 straps to fight next. It might be another fighter who's on a different network, but the fight fans will still clamor for that fight. PBC dropped the ball on that one, but still, they gave us that fight, which was a fight that was still, had a lot of big build-up and highly anticipated. So um, I'm looking forward to seeing what Canoli does for his 3 fights with PBC. You know what I mean? And I just hope one of them will be the winner of Morale versus David Benavidez. And when I say I hope, because, Canoli's not the most honest and integral guy in boxing. It's just the truth about it. Just how his business practices, the catch weights, rehydration clauses, his mouth when he speaks English. Now, so that's when he want to cuss fellas out and talk about fighters are horrible fighters like Dimitri Andrade. Oh, sorry, there you go. That's one guy who's on the PBC. Dimitri Andrade, he's on the PBC. We'll see if Canoli fights that guy. I highly doubt it. But the man has all the time and all that to call him a horrible fighter and try and embarrass him for what? Just because he wants to fight? It's very annoying when fight fans think like that. They say David. They say David. Tank fans say Devin Haney is annoying, and he's clout chasing because he wants to fight him. He's clout chasing. What the fuck, man? These are boxers. They competitors. Anyways, B March Boxing, big up my man Boxing Learner. He says PBC is the best right now. Absolutely. I watch boxing on all networks, and I'm gonna keep it tall with y'all. The least, and you probably see it from my videos and the trends. The least, the most, what's the word I'm trying to use? Golden Boy on the Zone. Those are the cards I watch the very least. They're not interesting like that. They're not. You know what I'm saying? You might catch a fight of the year on some Derevchenko versus Jaime Munguia type stuff, but it's not no fights that move the needle as far as title shots, as far as even people holding straps. Who even holds a title over there? Uh, a sanctioning body belt on Golden Boy DAZN. And then I'll tell you this: Golden Boy DAZN Matchroom. They lost Canelo. They got Zorilla versus Prograis last weekend, which Prograis looked bad, man. He looked bad. The card was not that great. They have, top rank ESPN and Showtime. If you're just being honest with yourself, not picking no favorites. 'Cause I told you I don't care about none of these networks and who. I just want to see the best fights. And PBC for 2023 has been putting it on. You know what I mean? Because to me, so far, boxing it's been a good year of boxing 2023. And if we can end the year before this year ends with all the fights, even let's say Bivol versus Better Beef, we get all the big fights that we all want before this calendar year ends. It'll be one of the best years in boxing we've had maybe since 2013. Not maybe, definitely since 2013, which was a great year of boxing. And that was courtesy mostly due to when PBC got with Showtime. They put on a whole lot of great fights. But anyways, be Marsh Boxing. I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one. Big up Boxing Learner. Thanks for everybody. Please hit the thumbs up on your way in, on your way out. If you're new to the channel, please share and subscribe. I'm gone. One.